Okay, here we go. Yep, it's gonna be a rainy day. Yep. Okay. 12:03. Yes. Oh, it's not the one I want. There we go. Who said noon report live? Good afternoon, one and all. Here we are. We're gonna give you the latest. We'll see what the weather's like. It's not raining right now. There's Caroline. There's David. Good afternoon, one and all. There's Bill. Chris, hello from Washington State. There's Liz Flynn. There's Patty watching from Hawaii. You can type in where you're watching from. Look at that. Chris Moran steps up. All right, so far we have, who do we have? Hawaii. There's Harriet. Washington State. Hawaii. Aloha. Who else? There's Donna. Yes. Good afternoon, one and all, folks. Big day. The race is now defined. Now we have our choices. Actually, I would argue we've had our choices. I'll explain about the lack of endorsement. I wouldn't worry about that. Um, I would not worry about that at all. Wow, that's quite a defense. Really? I did not hear that. Yeah. Rematch few wanted. Yep. All right, we're live in just a moment. Battling through, folks, a lot of the misinformation that is out there, to say the least. Unbelievable. So all the Laura Larrabee crowd. Yep. One conspiracy after another. I don't understand it. The patience I demonstrate, truly incredible. But anyhow, all right. What is the weather forecast, as a matter of fact? When's the rain? Rain 4 o'clock. All right. Then it's heavy all night. We shall see. All right. Let's go. This is the noon report, for better or worse. I didn't hear that. I did not. That's hilarious. We are waiting for JR. Really? At 12:06. Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePietro Show. It's AM 1380. Who said 99.9 FM? No doubt Anthony Santos. Nikki Haley has officially suspended her presidential bid. I can't believe how angry some people are that she was about time. I mean, for crying out loud. I'll explain in just a moment. Everybody's going to chill out. It's Wednesday. It is March 6th. Good afternoon to everybody tuning in. We do a live simulcast on Facebook. Now, remember, if for whatever reason we are attacked, it can happen sometimes. No one's immune from it. From any spammers or anything like that, we will, for those the FB crowd, we will shut down and then we will resume. Fortunately, I think we're going to be fine. This portion of the program on this Wednesday, and the race is defined, despite the fact that some people want to go with the conspiracy route. But it's brought to you by AJ Drywall Plasters and Home Improvement. This is a great time to improve your home. And remember, a fresh coat of paint can make a world. What an incredible difference it can make in a room. Why not get your dining room painted? Why not get your living room painted? Maybe the bedrooms. Do you have an unfinished basement? Why not add on an in-law apartment? Or maybe you have an unfinished garage. AJ Drywall Plasters Home Improvement. Call them today. 401-323-9252. Frame to finish basements, acoustical ceilings, new homes, commercial rehabs, painting, remodeling. They can do it all. It's AJ Drywall Plasters Home Improvement, serving Rhode Island and southeastern Mass. Call them 401-323-9252. 401-323-9252. AJ Drywall Plasters in Home Improvement. Well, folks, you're going to want to read this afternoon on DePietro.com. We're going to have a special posting. I'm going to lay out the fact that Rhode Island is a sanctuary state, that Governor McKee is not being truthful, that there is really no difference. Our elected leaders are not serving you well by pretending, oh, I don't know what Massachusetts does, or saying, well, I don't know what Connecticut does, or New York, New Jersey. It's all foolishness. Rhode Island is. I don't care what McKee says. And my nickname for him is not Candyman. It's McKee. No, he's not truthful with people. At times he is bumbling. Other times he's purposely bumbling. But we will have it up on the website, DePietro.com, brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks, and a lounge. They're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. Now, good afternoon to everybody watching on FB. You can subscribe to the page. Thank you, Lynn Miller. We are going to talk about the situation in East Providence and what's happening and the way that certain members of the media. But I want to, again, the noon report. I may reframe it to the 4 at noon or something like that, because I really want to highlight this, just some of the top stories we're going to touch on. And the first thing, though, I do want to touch on is the fact the race is now set. Now, I don't understand this hatred or loathing that some people have for Nikki Haley. She was a very popular Republican governor. She also was the ambassador in the Trump administration to the UN. Now, her leaving, she's out of the race, but she was the last one. And it wasn't a bad play of if the Supreme Court had ruled, which they did not, but had ruled that President Trump could be on the ballot, then there is value there. So, all right, she's out. She didn't endorse him. Well, she's not going for VP, and she's not going to be chosen as vice president. The endorsement will probably be worth more down the line. So I think at some point she will endorse him. I am very confident over the next couple of weeks. You're going to hear about, she had dinner at Mar-a-Lago, and then she may end up campaigning for him this fall. But the race is right now set. It is a rematch. President Biden against President Trump. So now I want to touch on. I don't understand. Well, I don't understand these people that are insistent on it's and many people that listen and follow know I have low to no tolerance for the conspiracy stuff. And the reason being is because it's been my experience is they never admit that they were wrong. I mean, I've been wrong on things. Sometimes you have to admit you're wrong. If you talk about things in the news, many times you can be wrong. But this business, for instance, and it's just, as I've said, it starts to become the person walking around with the sign saying the world will end tomorrow. And right now that person is Jesse Waters, right? I get that he's on Fox. But for him to continue to fan the flame that Michelle Obama is going to be the nominee. Well, she didn't say she would. I mean, this is, first of all, the headline, Michelle Obama announced she's not running. She never was running. So it's all just fueled up. There was someone, and I'm sure she's listening now, I won't reveal who, was telling me yesterday that in Chicago this August, at the Democrat convention, that's where they're having their convention, that President Obama, I kid you not. See, when I hear this stuff, I'm filled with a feeling of, I can't believe I just wasted 5 minutes of my life back and forth with this person. Anyhow, this is a person that said this summer, Biden's going to walk out onto the stage in Chicago and Nikki Haley's going to be with him and he's going to announce that she's the nominee. That is just beyond preposterous. And I try to ask people, where are you getting this from? If you're reading this somewhere, I want to see it because I want to see who's putting this rubbish out. If you're not reading it anywhere, if you're just imagining it, then why am I wasting my time even communicating with you? That is ludicrous. Jesse Waters, Michelle Obama has not ruled out. She has no interest. And on top of that, the part that they leave out, someone wrote a piece, Cindy Adams was fueling that. And there was a piece in the New York Post on Sunday. Michelle Obama's always been political. I just don't know why people don't want to accept the race as is. It's going to be President Trump against President Biden. And right now, I like the chance. Who in their right mind would support Biden Harris? Only, other than Governor McKee, that stupid thing. He's the Candyman. Whatever. He's an incompetent boob. He's also basically bordering on a pathological liar at this point. Rhode Island's all that. That is so amateur hour. The people in East Providence, that situation, it's not getting any better. And that bridge, they have no idea what to do. But let me just stay with this just for a moment. It's going to be Biden and Trump. The part that people leave out, the people that want it to be someone else, or claim it's going to be someone else, or claim it's going to be Gavin Newsom, or claim it's going to be all these claims out of nowhere. You're missing an important part of the equation, which is the first lady and the president. They have no intention of giving up power. None. The president, he's delusional. His staff, how arrogant the Biden staff is, they think that they can get him through this. They think they can get him over the finish line. And then whatever happens after that is another story. But they think, it's March. They're very confident. They look at it as the calendar. April, May, June, July. That's 4 months. August, September, October. 7 months. That's the way 7 months to go. There won't be a debate. Trump didn't do any debates. President Trump did not. So then they're saying, well, Biden's not going to do any debates. So now there's no debates, which I don't like, as a matter of fact. But that's the race. These people that just float out. I don't understand it. I don't, someone sent me a text this morning. I won't say last name, but someone saying that this summer, that President Trump is going to announce that JFK Jr. is going to be his VP candidate. I thought we did away with this nonsense. Listen, he died. He died off in Nantucket. What is wrong with you people? No, he's not announcing that. Yep, he's going to announce JFK. No, JFK Jr. is dead. He died tragically, but the people those people in Dallas, yeah, I know the people. They go, yeah, that's where he's going to come back to. He's been in hiding. He's going to come back and he's going to show up where his father was assassinated. Like, that makes sense. I'm sure they wants to revisit there. No, I believe President Trump, I think, he's going to make the decision on his VP. might be Tim Scott. I know they're very high on Senator Tim Scott. I know they're very high on that Governor Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota. Now, I heard they're not so high on her husband, and he could be problematic for whatever reason. But I have heard that those are the two that President Trump. Now he will make the decision. I think it could be Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, but that's going to be the match. So all of this, he's going to walk out. Anyone that says that, I don't think they understand the dynamic of power. Power is intoxicating. Power is not something that people like to give up. There are those that have power and those that crave power. I think what the Bidens and his staff and team, what they are trying to pull off is they believe that no one will notice that he can't do a press conference. He gets lost very easily. Jill Biden, the first lady, these are very arrogant individuals. I'll tell you what also plays into this, that the Jesse Waters and some of these other people just, I don't know. I suppose there's money in keeping the conspiracy alive, that it's going to be Michelle Obama, that he's going to magically, oh, let me hand it to you. What people are missing, I think this is good news for our country, for our state, that this is going to be the rematch, because I think this is a very winnable election. I think the planets have aligned. Still a long way to go, but immigration is a big issue, and that is a fastball down the middle for President Trump. No candidate is stronger on that issue than the president. President Trump, I mean. So the fact that it's that large. But what's missing, let me just finish this out. I just wish people would just accept those are the choices. I don't understand this inclination. I don't. The people, it's got to be more than that. Almost like it is what it is. Like there's going to be more intrigue. No, it's going to be JFK Jr.'s not dead. He's the VP candidate. The people that are saying that, go to Butler Hospital. Nikki Haley is not going to be the Democrat nominee. I don't even know what people are talking about when they go into that. Are people starting to lose their minds again? It's going to be Biden Harris, President Trump, VP of his choice, whoever they vet out. And right now, the direction, it's a different dynamic in the race. The Democrat Party is a very weak candidate, but there's no one on the Democrat side that has challenged Biden. They're going to have no one to blame but themselves. But the part that people leave out, I'm always suspicious when people leave certain elements out of a story. And the part that they're leaving out is President Biden and the First Lady. And I've already kind of explained it, but there was resentment. They hold resentment that in their mind, he should have been the nominee in 2016, not Hillary. There's resentment and anger towards the Obamas that they kind of shoved him off to the side. By the way, President Obama, those 8 years that he was president and Biden was his vice president, it's pretty well documented reports that he was always kind of like mocking Biden, his VP. Kind of like he's old school Joe, and we had to put him on, but they kind of laughed about him behind his back. And it was kind of like, we had to bring the guy along. But they were never enamored of him. They were never what Nancy Reagan would call upstairs people. They were never fully invited into the circle with Barack and Michelle. And then when 2016 rolled around, President Obama, gave him the Heisman shove out of the way and made way for Hillary. My point is, so the Bidens, they feel that if he had run in 2016 or been the candidate, instead of Hillary, that he would have won. Now, I don't agree with that, but they think that. So they think his 8-year term as president would have been 16 to 20 and then 20 to 24, meaning he'd be finishing up his 8-year term. So they feel, it's kind of someone feels entitled. Like, hey, I was supposed to get 8 years and we got shoved out of the way. So what does that mean? They definitely want to win this. So he can say he had, now I don't, I mean, I suppose I have no idea his real physical condition. He could be alive 4 years from now. He is certainly not going to be an ability to be commander in chief and running the country. That definitely not. But the only thing that really matters that a lot of people are missing is it comes down to two people. And it comes down to the president and the first lady. And they're either stubborn, there's no one breaking through to them. But if you're the chief of staff, if you're the inner circle, if you're the Biden inner circle, and his sister plays a big role, if you're the Biden inner circle at the White House, you don't want this to ever end. As someone that's been inside, there's no greater place to work than the White House. I mean, what an absolute honor and privilege every day that you get to drive up and they wave you through. And that's where you work. Think of all the places that you could work. Some people work at a hospital. Some people teach in a school. Some people work at a police station. Some people work at a television station, wherever. But the most prestigious is you work at the White House. Very, very intoxicating. True center of the universe. And all the perks that go with it. It's a party every single night. They don't want to give that up. They don't want to give that up. So they're confident they've come this far and they can get this guy over the finish line. I think they're wrong. I'm praying they're wrong. I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do it. But I for the life of me, I don't understand these people that want to invent these different races. In the the people should feel positive that the matchup is going to be a rematch. It's a very different dynamic than it was in 2020. Hey, listen, make no mistake, President Trump has the Never Trumpers, and they have a big presence in our state. As a matter of fact, I'm not even convinced any of the elected Republicans are really backing President Trump here. You have Ken Block. He wrote a book. Ha ha ha. There was no voter fraud. Right? Gee, thanks. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate that. And I like Ken Block. I don't mean it like that. His stuff with the bridge has been good. But there's certain states where there's going to be payback. And we're one of them. The states that are carved out that are very unfriendly to the Trump policies. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Can you even imagine? I mean, you can't even picture that. Can you imagine President Trump having a meeting with Governor McKee and Matos? Like, it would be another level of embarrassment for the state. But he's going to choose a real VP. It's not JFK Jr. He died in 1999. You don't have to believe me. I'm just telling you. We had that woman on the live stream said, "Well, I don't know if he's dead. I've never met him." Oh, so that's the new definition. That is the matchup. And it's going to be interesting to see over the next, and it's not going to be Nikki Haley for the Democrat Party. Where do people come up with this foolishness? I don't understand it. But no, the Trump campaign, they're running a very disciplined campaign. And I think this thing is aligning pretty nicely right now. A lot of infighting on the other side. Do you know the New York Times is now coming under fire? Because they're covering the Trump campaign. They're not just bashing the Trump campaign. The New York Times, of all places, is coming under fire. The Democrat Party is about to, you know, I don't know, not admit, but there's definitely a panic that's going to set in. The poll numbers in 2020, President Trump was never ahead of Biden in 2020. Biden came out of the box and then was always ahead. President Trump is leading in the polls. By the way, I believe polls. Not all the polls, but I believe the polls. I do. There's some people that are anti-poll. I'm not one of them. Polling has come a long way. In Rhode Island, we've seen polling's really come a long way. They had the last races in 2022 come out very well. What's a shame about polling in Rhode Island is it's a shame that we can't see just what a low approval rating is that Governor McKee has right now. But it's at the same time, that's all exciting on the national front. We have to deal with the local front. And folks, that's why there's Just Angels and online at justangelsonline.com. It is the Lenten season. Discover and learn and get reinvigorated with the power of prayer. Many times that's all you have. It'll clarify things. It'll give you energy. It'll give you strength. I share their Facebook page, Just Angels. Jean does a fantastic job. So meaningful for every occasion, every occupation. Just Angels. You can't rely on our elected leaders. You can't, but you can rely on Just Angels and online at justangelsonline.com. Well, folks, good afternoon at 12:30. Nikki Haley is not going to be chosen as the VP. She didn't do an endorsement because she doesn't need to. I believe both her and DeSantis are already planning for 2028. I don't know whether or not that would happen. Who knows what the dynamic may be? But that's where I think they're going. No, there's no evidence she's doing a third party. There's no evidence. I don't even think she has that kind of base to do a third party. And she certainly is not going to run these people. Well, the deep state, they're going to have her run instead of Biden. I don't know where people come up with some of this stuff. If people come up with it on their own, then they got real problems I can't help them with. But this is the matchup. And what you should realize is the people in Rhode Island and Massachusetts are firmly behind Biden-Harris, as frightening as that is. Goes for Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey. Certainly McKee. Governor McKee said Biden's the greatest president of his lifetime. Matos says anyone that's a Trump supporter is a racist. She is such an embarrassment. Folks, I'd like to get excited about the national story. And by the way, it would be better for the state. It would be better for the state with the Trump presidency, because he would absolutely shut McKee and company down. Everything that Governor McGreed stands for, President Trump, they are the opposite. McKee wants open borders. Trump wants border security. McKee, I don't care what he says. The questions he's being asked are not the right questions. They give him wiggle room. The people asking McKee about a sanctuary state, they're giving him room to lie and wiggle out. There is no difference the way Rhode Island handles illegals any different than Mass or Connecticut. We're sandwiched in between. And all the illegals go in and out of the state. It's not a matter that Providence is a sanctuary city. As I have told you, Providence is no different than Pawtucket or Central Falls or any of the other 39 cities and towns. If an illegal is arrested in Newport, if an illegal is arrested in Warwick, they're not treated any differently than they are in Providence. That is a total myth. Total myth. It's a sanctuary state. McKee is a complete slave to organized labor. He handed it to them. He made a deal with them. He handed over the keys to the state to them. President Trump is the opposite. President Trump is in favor of school choice. Governor McKee is a slave to the teachers union. Governor McKee props up someone like a Captain Creep, Bob Walsh, and thinks that guy has any positive thing to say about education. Folks, over the next few months, you're going to be able to see firsthand, actually the next year, I think, how out of step the state is, members of the media are, with the rest of the country, certainly even the rest of the Republican Party. In our local media, it is such an anti-Republican Trump bias. Keep in mind, in 2022, they attacked local media. They attacked Ashley Kalis because she said she admired the governor of Florida, Governor DeSantis. She was attacked for that, as if like she's a hate monger. All the name calling. Right now, the good news is, it would seem there's help on the way. The bad news is we have to suffer through this complete sheer incompetence that we're dealing with right now. This is really, it is really a state run amok right now. It is. It's not your imagination. What's also fueling it, by the way, is the COVID money's drying up. You know, as we've said, McKee, he only knew how to govern when he had a lot of money to throw around. This guy has no backbone. None. Jellyfish. Spineless. He doesn't know how to govern. He doesn't know how to make tough decisions. He doesn't. And he's down to one outlet that takes him in. McKee, where he has a safe space where he can go on. And his buddy is running more than half of the station. And he gets safe questions. And he has a safe spot. And he gives out little T-shirts. And I mean, it is just... He won't do an interview at Channel 12, to their credit. He won't do an interview with the Boston Globe. I don't even think he's sitting down with the Providence Journal right now. He seems to be down to McKee, and then also he does that connect to the Capitol with Dan Janik, who just keeps reminding you throughout the segment how he's short on time, and then reads questions from people. But no, these people are on the wrong side of the issue, without question. So things are moving in the right direction. People are recognizing the economy was better. And a big problem that Biden-Harris created is, and they can't get, it's like you can't get the toothpaste back in the tube. And that is the border. That is the border. They unveiled just a complete disaster with all these people coming in here. They have. And the states they flock to. And this business, it's also disingenuous. Are people really thinking? Massachusetts is bubbling over with, quote, migrants, illegals. Are we to believe what, that they're not coming into Rhode Island? Even though McKee's like, oh, I don't know. Are they? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, he doesn't know. Is anyone being deported from Rhode Island? No. Can you get a driving privilege in Rhode Island? Yes. Are you denied anything in Rhode Island because of your immigration status that you would receive in Massachusetts? No. Are you deprived of anything in Rhode Island that you could get in Connecticut? No. In Massachusetts, if there's an ICE detainer put on an inmate, that means they won't hold him for ICE. Is that inmate treated any differently between Westerly and Woonsocket? We know the answer is no. Therefore, thereby, there is no difference. There's no difference. They're in for a rude awakening. President Trump is talking about mass deportations. Do you understand that? Mass deportations. I saw another article today, the housing shortage in Rhode Island. Yeah, where did all these low-income, low-rent apartments go? Suddenly they're not available. Yeah, it's a real mystery. Watch the video of me on Union Avenue in Silver Lake 2 weeks ago on a Saturday night. I think that might answer the question. Who's living in some of those units that used to have people that just didn't pay high rent? Hey, folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by AEP Services. They take great pride installing fences of all kinds, vinyl, wood, aluminum, chain link. More and more people are saying, okay, I'd like a fence for my yard. I want a fence in where my dog is. I want privacy. I want my children or grandchildren to be able to play. Fences not only provide privacy, they can provide security. And when you have life in a sanctuary state, security's not a bad thing right now. They do a beautiful job. Call them today. Free quote. AEP Services. They're right in Johnston. 401 228 7190. Stunning. Amazing what they can do with the landscaping. Beautiful fencing. 401 228 7190. Fence gate service. Protect yourself. More people. Privacy is nice. Protection, security is another level. AEP Services. I share their Facebook page, residential or commercial, 401 228 7190. I think this is good news. I think this matchup is the perfect matchup. Barring if President Biden had a stroke. Now, again, his doctors check him all the time. He's not doing any long trips. He's not exactly out there exerting himself. He's kind of the part-time president. He's the nominee. I would think that would be a good thing. I would think people want to embrace that. I think most people, and remember, this is going to come down to the independent voters. What's so interesting about this dynamic that's shaping up right now for the fall, which is, by all accounts, it's going to be Trump-Biden. The interesting dynamic about this is the biggest hesitation with both Democrats and independents is something that President Biden can't do anything about. There are people that love President Trump, true. There are people that hate President Trump, also true. He does motivate people to get out there. The Biden people are betting. They feel that there are so many people that dislike President Trump that they're going to go out and vote against him more than vote for Biden. But the problem with that is I think there are people that they just don't have the energy. They may just stay home. Now, there may be people on the Republican side that stay home, right? Just in Rhode Island, there are Republicans that are never Trumpers. There are people that they're not going to vote for President Biden. They're just not going to vote. So it kind of balances out a little bit. But look at where this where the state is right now. Can you imagine someone like President Trump, who is a builder, who has an experience clearly in building, in architecture, in land development? Can you imagine? I'm just trying to think ahead. And I'm not even convinced it would happen, but if somehow the Washington Bridge fiasco landed on his desk, can you even imagine how he would view the McKee administration and the embarrassment that has taken place? And make no mistake about it, I don't blame the businesses in East Providence. That now you have the city council saying they want the state to give the money. I think the city of East Providence, the council now, I'm not talking about the mayor. The mayor is still in kind of he's still kind of in the fold with Governor McKee. Right now, both he and Smiley are. The mayor's Providence, East Providence. I think eventually you may see that the city of East Providence, city council, may actually take legal action against the state. Because I think when President Trump, let's just look ahead, dream ahead, so to speak, takes office and gets a real transportation person in there, not Mayor Pete, and has a real staff and wants to, okay, let's really find out what's happening there. Can you just imagine the embarrassment of McKee Matos trying to explain that for the past few years, the bridge has been passing inspection, billions of dollars, all these inspections paid, and all of a sudden they have to close the bridge. I mean, he will see right through them. Governor McKee, that this guy, he wouldn't last 5 minutes in a room with someone like him. President Trump would look right through. Never mind, McKee saying, well, Biden is the greatest president of our lifetime. How do you think that's going to go over? So I think, Governor Haley, the governor of Massachusetts, in an odd way, I think she might even be relieved because all of the illegals are just clogging up all of the um, right now in Massachusetts, there are capacity for all the shelters. She may not admit it. I think she'd actually be relieved. The mayor of New York City, Mayor Adams, I think he would be relieved. He would be relieved, like, okay, there's no more border buses coming. The flow is cut off, right? Boston can survive. They would actually do better without having all the shelters at capacity because of all the illegals. New York City doesn't need, well, I think the latest estimate is 130,000 illegals have come into New York. And I mean, they certainly won't miss having that go away. But both of those, New York, Boston, they would welcome not having the influx of all the illegals coming in. But where does that leave Magritte and Matos, right? President Trump, he believes the only reason he has been able to thrive is because he hires crews and he doesn't get bogged down by all the union nonsense. He had to deal with the unions in New York, but outside of that, a lot of his building, whether it was Florida or wherever, he didn't have them dictate terms to him. The people that control Governor McKee, right? The special interests, the labor unions, they're with Biden. They're with Biden. They're not going to be with President Trump. So President Trump is for private enterprise. President Trump is for cutting taxes. President Trump is for less government. Cut the taxes, cut the spending. Right now, McKee, his idea of economic development, the governor, is to just keep adding more state workers, right? All of these positions, the cities and towns with all our COVID money, that's all coming to an end. The state workforce should be smaller, not larger. They just keep adding jobs. By the way, they've also added union jobs that can't get laid off, they can't blah, blah, blah. So then you just get saddled with it. My point is, and this is really important, it's so interesting to see that the country, look at the direction of certain states. I was just speaking earlier this morning with someone who we were talking about Texas. Do you know Texas is one of the top states to do business? Very easy to do business in Texas. You don't have a lot of government regulation. You certainly don't get bogged down by the labor unions. So Texas is growing. People are moving to Texas. People are moving their businesses to Texas because it's more business friendly. Tennessee, Nashville. Nashville, I just spoke with a friend of mine was there just he said is everywhere you look in Nashville, you see cranes. Cranes in the sky. It's nonstop building. All over Tennessee is a very easy place to do business. I knew someone that retired to Tennessee. He owns a home there. He told me his property taxes went up. His property taxes went up 37 cents. He was paying like $100 a year for property, for like city taxes or town or whatever the hell it was. And then, you have Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas. There are states that are thriving. There are states that people are moving to. There are states, Ohio, we're open, truly open for business, right? The problem with someone like a McKee and Matos is Rhode Island is lumped in. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts. Essentially, you can't distinguish between them. Many years ago, I mean, if the state was smart, if we had real leadership, if you had a real transformational leader, Rhode Island would be wherever Mass and Connecticut are in business, Rhode Island would be more affordable than that. If you had a transformational leader, you could make the companies in Connecticut and Massachusetts start saying, if we move over the border, we could save money, right? Like that. You'd have people down in Mystic saying, if we move over, certainly seems to be a lot more friendly to business. You'd have people at Attleboro, Seekonk, Bellingham saying, if we just move over the border, be a lot friendly to do business. You don't have that. It's the opposite. But I think it'd be comical. And again, we're going to have to wait. But I'd like to see President Trump being apprised of the Washington Bridge situation. So in other words, billions were spent and people were pretending they were inspecting and they weren't inspecting. And how much money it's costing right now. And now they're going to have 3 lanes on each side. And that they've destroyed the city of East Providence and they're destroying the East Bay. And I think it would also be interesting with, let's face it, Governor McKee, he's already facing 2 FBI investigations. I know a lot of people are down on the FBI. But what Governor McKee and Matos would also be facing is, I think, an unfriendly Justice Department. Right now, because it's Biden, Governor McKee's actually dealing with a friendly Justice Department. Think of this. Governor McKee, who was in Washington 2 weeks ago with President Biden, right? Comes back, oh yeah, I talked to him about the bridge. Oh yeah, like as if Biden was actually paying attention to it. But just think about this for a moment. You have a Democrat president, and Governor McKee has managed to get himself the subject of 2 FBI probes. 2 FBI probes with a Democrat-controlled Justice Department. Can you even imagine what is going to be the fallout if you get a Republican, which you would, a Republican Attorney General, a Republican-led Justice Department? They'll all be going to jail. They'll all be going to jail with that. So, folks, it is a difficult time. We have to remain optimistic. I just want people to step back, and appreciate what's going. Just to be frank, I don't understand this need for the conspiracy stuff of people that I think this is good news on this Wednesday. I think the race is very clear. I do. I think it's going to be a very obvious choice. I also want to remind people that President Trump received 200,000 votes in Rhode Island in 2020. I know the Trump people are against the Rhode Island method of voting. All this early voting, all these ballots, it's unnecessary. They have an excuse for everything. When I interviewed the Secretary of State, everything is a talking point, right? Why is an X a signature? Oh, well, for the people that have a stroke and then they can only do an X. Why do you have to? Oh, these people are working so hard. Okay, some people like to vote early. All right, the election's on a Tuesday. Have the early voting start on Saturday. I don't even care if you have the polls open on a Sunday. But you don't need 3 weeks of early voting. It's insanity. If voting is important, someone will go and vote. Period. End of story. You don't need all this stuff. Remember, President Trump, he'd like to go back to one day and paper ballots. We survived one day and paper ballots. All this business of, the blind homeless people that don't have an ID and they can't vote on election day. And I just, you have all the stroke victims and you have Nellie Gorbea. You have a lot of seniors that have no ID and they don't drive. And it's all obvious lies. If you're 90, well, you have someone 90 years old and they don't have if you're 90 years old and you don't have an ID, you can't have a checking account. You can't see a doctor. You don't have health insurance. You don't have a credit card. Who are these people? Who are these 90-year-old people that don't you can't get into a doctor's office without a photo ID. You can't cash a check without a photo ID. Forget about driving. I had a relative that never drove, excuse me. It's all made up. It's all made up. Why do we have to have 3 weeks of early voting? Well, all the blind homeless that had strokes, they can't get disenfranchised. I mean, it's just all after a while. That's not it. We know the reason. It's because they're trying to manipulate the vote. So, and the voting needs to get reined in. I don't think we should have the way we do right now, where every state has different voting. It's tough to. It's gotten so out of control that it's difficult. Who knows if it's now in Rhode Island? Oh, we got to have the 17-year-olds voting. Why is 17? I already know the answer. We know why the 17-year-olds are voting, because they can be manipulated, and we know who they want them to vote for. But I want you to appreciate what's going to happen over the next few months. This is a real battle. When President Trump said this November, I mean, this is, I know every election people say the most important election of our lifetime. Who wants to continue like this? They're delusional. They don't even believe it. Biden, Harris. See, what's frightening is Gabe Amo, Congressman Magaziner, McKee and Matos. They're going to try to convince everyone. Oh yeah, Biden, Harris. That's the way to go. These people are just it's complete insanity. The guy's not up to it. It has nothing to do with policy. He doesn't have the mental or physical stamina. It's ridiculous that I blame the first lady that she can't rein him in. And by the way, different newspapers have tried to reach out to her through editorials saying, like, she's got to step in. She won't. I think they're both proving to be very selfish individuals, egomaniacs. I get it. She likes flying on Air Force One. They like living in the White House. Who wouldn't? Okay, they're the nominees. Great. Can't wait to see his speech at the convention. Folks, this portion of our program is brought by Henry Oil. Reliable, affordable fuel oil delivery. Call them today. Residential, commercial, service contracts, budget plans, automatic delivery. Call Henry Oil today. Lock and cap pricing, service contract, budget plans. 401-521-0200. 401-521-0200 for Henry Oil. I also want to mention J&B Plumbing. Do you need a plumber? I know a great plumber. If you have a plumbing problem, your life, business comes to a halt. Call J&B Plumbing today. 401-743-9153. Call Jim and Danielle. They can repair damaged water pipes. They can repair clogged pipelines. They can replace water heaters. J&B Plumbing. 401-743-9153. 401-743-9153 for J&B Plumbing. The more you think about it, and again, good afternoon, everyone. Coming up next hour, our legal expert, attorney Tim Dodd, you're going to want to hear this. He talks about the North Kingstown case. Talks about the public records request, talks about the North Providence. We'll talk about all of that. The tourism slogan with Governor McGreed, right? Rhode Island is all that. It is kind of like Seinfeld, which is, the show about nothing, right? George in there with NBC. It's nothing. There's no script. Rhode Island is all that. It kind of it kind of encompasses that Governor McKee, he's so caught up in novelty, right? He's the coach. It's Team Rhode Island. He's so thrilled that you have the movie that's filming here. His kids are involved with the film. So he gets so caught up in novelty that all that he's so excited. Oh wow, we're gonna have a tourism campaign, and it's all that, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Rhode Island. You say to someone, Rhode Island, it's all that. Like all I hear is George in the meeting with Jerry at NBC saying, and the show's about. Let me sum it up for you this way: nothing. The show's about nothing. It's all that. All what? All that. All what? All everything. Like it doesn't mean anything. And the reason I say it's actually perfect for the McKee administration, because it also you picture the commerce people, and there's someone that says we're going to move into New England. We're either going to be headquartered in Connecticut, Mass, or Rhode Island. So how is your state different than Mass or Connecticut? And what Governor McKee has managed to do is we're actually no different than those two. And if there's no difference, you know, it's like in baseball. Tie goes to the runner. In this case, Connecticut's that much closer to New York. Massachusetts has Boston. Tie goes to one of the competing states. It's consistent that they have a commerce message that doesn't mean anything, much like the tourism message. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. Attorney Tim Dodd joins us next hour. The big news of the day, Nikki Haley is out, but another full hour to go. AM 1380, 99.9 FM. You can listen online at the website, depetro.com.